So I have this belief, right? If you're going to do the style of training, then I think you should compete in it at some point. If you are basically powerlifting training, but you're not getting on the platform, I think it's a disservice to yourself to never have done it. Because why put in this like fine-tuned effort to never compete? Like, I think even if you're one and done, you should do it. It's very shitty that like people come up with these great concepts. For example, like Strongman Institute is a phenomenal concept. And everybody will say, oh, I get it, but nobody ever does anything about it. You will find that people online will be a bigger supporter of you than a motherfucker who sees you every day. I end up dropping it. I didn't do well with it, whatever. I come back, and to this day, Lola still says, Daddy, do you remember when you picked the tree up in the sky? She may not remember that, but I'll remember her saying that until I die.
Do I really have to do cardio?
No.
How do I know if I'm overtraining?
Ready?
Should I cut weight in this competition?
How much protein am I supposed to have?
Is it ironic that a podcast about Strongman is hosted by a woman?
I think that's kind of the point.
Welcome back to Lift and Load. Now, this is an episode that I'm really excited about because I think it's going to resonate with so many people because we all want to do all the things, all the time, in all the ways.
Like being a parent. I'm a mom, and finding ways to balance being a parent and an athlete can be challenging.
So who better to bring on than the girl dad of girl dads, John Banks.
Husband,
Father,
Battle Axe podcast co-host.
bearded villain,
We'll get into that.
strength sports athlete,
In strongman and powerlifting,
and kilt sports.
Highland Games.
But we talk about balance, and we talk about how communities in strength sports can really make a difference in the most unlikely ways.
So get ready because it's time to lock in,
Lift heavy.
load up.
We're talking Ohana. So first off, thank you for coming.
Yes,
so
thank you.
Me.
we have John Banks with us, who is, his resume is stupid. It is, the very cute father, husband, athlete, all things string sports, and then also co-host of the Battle Axe podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. That's
Yes.
correct. I fit all of those bills of description. Here I am.
Just looking at you, you are not a small man. You have the beard. You look like Strongman. I didn't know who you were. I didn't know your background.
Yeah.
I figured out through conversations. I'm like, okay, this guy's been around the block a couple times. And then you dropped tidbits about powerlifting, Strongman. So I knew to trust you.
Yeah.
But can you dig a little bit into your background? So I'm still fuzzy on it. I know that powerlifting got in there, and then Strongman got in there, and then somehow you're. We got to talk about the Highland Games.
Yeah.
I did see a reel of you. I think it was in a kilt.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just because I have
So-
sick calves.
I mean, that's true.
Put that on camera.
That is,
because that's
we're
true.
going to just I almost kicked my mic. I was about to stick my legs up. But anyway, so talk to me about that very interesting transition through your career.
Yeah, so the journey into strength sports was actually due to injury. And my first love was actually basketball. And I was playing a lot of basketball. I grew up very rough, and so sports were never on the table for me. I was always kind of moving around a lot, opportunity. It's like one of those things where when you look back at your young life and you're like, man, what could I have been if somebody would have guided me a little bit more here and there, or pushed me to do a sport or whatever. And this will all make sense also as I circle back to it. But I was playing basketball, and basketball came very easy to me. And I was playing, and 4 years in a row, I had pretty nasty injuries, all from doing things that I knew I shouldn't have been doing. A group of guys shows up, and I'm like, oh shit, I shouldn't play with these guys. These guys are rough.
Right.
Bang, got hurt. Rehab that, came back. So my first injury was left knee. I tore my meniscus basically in half.
Jeez.
Had a surgery on that. Came back too soon because I was a young man with way too much pride.
That happened. How old were you?
I actually had just turned 30.
Oh, that is a young man with too much pride.
I
Yeah.
just
So
turned
that,
30.
I feel like in women years, he was 19. That's what that, yeah.
Did you play basketball in high school?
No.
Okay, so this was when you were
I
out of
got
school.
into basketball because I worked for LA Fitness. And it was funner than running on a treadmill.
And they have sick courts. Like it's cool.
So, but it came to me very quickly. In fact, after a year or two, people were like, oh, what high school did you play for? I picked it up very quickly. So that was great. I got injured. My first knee injury was the meniscus. The following year came back too early, partially tore the other meniscus and partially tore the ACL. So that was the following year. The year after that, someone took a nasty dive into the repaired knee, the left knee, and I ended up with like a really bad bone spur, bursitis, and just whatever. Again, I'm at an LA Fitness. I'm training for aesthetics, but more so I just want to play basketball. So I'd go and bro lift for a little bit. The following year after that was lower back and hip labrum. That was nasty.
That sucks.
That was nasty. Yeah.
What was that recovery like? That's similar to your was it your labrum that gave you issues or?
No, we're still not really sure what it is. No, we're still working through it. I've had
Welcome
a
to
hip issue
Strongman.
for like 6
Pretty
months.
much.
Exactly.
Got a weird thing with your hip. Don't know what it is.
Yeah. You got to get that dick through more.
Unfortunately.
It's true. We need to circle back on that because if not, I've just like left that phrase like hanging out there, and we will come back to it. I promise.
So first of all, I knew it was bad because bang, I felt this weird pop right away, and I was like, ooh. And within seconds, my body was like lay down, but I couldn't. I physically couldn't like hinge to get to the floor. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see myself out. So I just left the court. And I went to go get into my car, and I couldn't get down and in. So I like flopped into the car and like loaded my leg, and using the bathroom was a tragedy.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was really sad.
Oh no.
And the year after that was 2 torn ligaments in the other side ankle. I stepped on the basketball, my ankle turned. So finally, I'm like, I just got to figure something out. So I had my friend JT, very good friend, very good coach. At the time, he was not coaching, but he had friends, Rich and Rachel, who had a CrossFit gym. They welcomed me in, and they were basically like, look, man, we'll help you rehab. I started rehabbing with them, and they wouldn't even let me touch a barbell. Would not even. If I picked a barbell up to warm up, they were like,
Those are good friends.
go get banned.
For the record.
Yeah.
Those were good friends.
So I rehabbed the ankle, and I noticed that like, man, I'm not so bad at squatting. You know, I'm not so bad at overhead pressing like these. And then I started getting a little stronger, and then I was like, ooh. So I didn't really get into like, do you guys have any experience like doing a WOD?
Oh, unfortunately.
Okay, so
I've been.
you know that.
You've never been personally victimized by what?
No.
I can change that.
I've watched it.
I
Yeah.
can write one for you.
I don't know about
So
that.
here's the thing: if
So
you
many
look at
burpees.
that board, and the lower the time is on it, the worse it's going to be for you. So if it says 8 minutes, prepare to die.
For those
So the lower it goes, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
It's intensity. So like if you see like 20-minute like AMRAP, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna survive-ish. If you see like 8-minute AMRAP, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna die.
Yeah.
And then you see assault bike and you're like, no.
Exactly.
I got hooked into Strongman because it was like Zach told me, he's like, it's CrossFit without running. And I'm like, sign me up.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, I just really liked the strength side of it. And JT had started competing in Strongman, and he was like, well, why don't you just train with me? And I was like, cool. And I really like the concept of being strong for volume or distance. I thought that was cool. I really like the concept of like being able to do that and being around like Gen Pop just doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like it wasn't interesting to me to be like, oh, I'm going to do arms today. Like I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck about that.
I like that too.
Right? But you know, if you can carry a 300 sandbag for 250 feet, hell yeah, brother.
Yep.
So that's cool to me. So that's kind of what propelled me. And to not really go like too crazy into it, I'm a little bit gifted and cursed in my size. At the time, I was probably walking around at about 260, 265. And I was in my mid 30s by this time, like 35. Okay. And so strength-wise, I could be somewhat competitive with the 231s, but the weight cut would be brutal.
Right.
I could compete against the heavyweights, but a lot of those guys are natural 300s. And I'm like, damn. So I jumped in my first novice comp, and that was Miami's baddest, and I did pretty well. I got second as a novice. Competed against some really strong guys. One novice there, I can't remember his last name, Charlie. He's a nationally ranked, no, he might be a world ranked power lifter. So statically, he absolutely dog walked
Crush
me.
it, yeah.
But moving, I was able to beat him. And he etched me out a little bit on the static strength, but I feel like I won the day. Because I was not as accomplished as him as a strength athlete. I was new. And I was like, to put it this way, I think my biggest deadlift that day was like 500. And I think that he opened with like 650 or 675. So he was...
That's how I feel whenever I go. So she is like world's greatest deadlifter just naturally, and I'm just not. So like she'll be like, yeah, I opened with like Static Monsters at 400, and I'm like, well, shit. I was like, I am so much bigger than you. Like I have to lift more. So that's the worst. Like they open, you go, oh God.
Well, you have the same problem that I have in terms of length. So like long legs, there's certain things that help us, but for the most part, on deadlift, long arms and long legs kill you.
Yeah.
Right.
I got
So
Quadzilla over here.
yeah.
It's the quad.
Worst.
But you're an amazing overhead presser.
That's my saving grace. Absolutely.
It is.
Yeah.
That's my saving
And
grace.
you're very good at sandbags and
Yeah, that's new. I mean, that really was a development, but it's the moving stuff that with Strongman that was just so cool.
I knew right
I was
away.
never interested in powerlifting. I respect it, but I was like, that doesn't sound super fun for me.
So I have this belief, right? If you're going to do the style of training, then I think you should compete in it at some point. Okay? If you are basically powerlifting training, but you're not getting on the platform, I think it's a disservice to yourself to never have done it. Because why put in this like fine-tuned effort to do all these things to never compete? Like I think even if you're one and done, you should do it. Right? I think that you should be able to speak to it. If you're doing the training anyways, and powerlifting is like cool. You get up there and you're basically like, hey everyone, I'm gonna go as heavy as I can in these lifts for you guys.
Right.
I've heard that before.
And it's
To just dip in at least once.
Yeah,
Try
right.
it. Do it.
how many people do you meet that are bodybuilding, literally bodybuilding and dieting and doing all these things, and they're like, well, I'm not gonna get on a stage. Fucking what?
Why?
Yeah.
Torture yourself, like, yeah.
Yeah,
You need to
you
tell all your
literally
baby
are
novices.
torturing
I know.
yourself.
Yeah.
You're literally torturing
Yeah.
yourself, and so you can look good in the club,
Exactly.
or where?
Yeah.
I don't even know. So your selfies on Instagram look cool, but you don't want to get on a stage? Why not?
Show
The
it
only
off.
thing missing is you need to bronze yourself.
No, but seriously, that's the easy part.
Strongman to me is the most fun, and Highland Games makes you feel like a kid in the fact that every implement is like, see this rock? I'm gonna fucking throw it as far as I can.
That rock.
And that's cool because like as a kid I remember like skipping rocks and like how far can I throw this stick, and that's basically Highland Games. So there's like a youthful enjoyment to it.
Yeah.
And I suck at it. And I like to suck at things.
That makes more fun. That makes it more fun. Well,
Yeah, write that down.
that's
I suck at things.
that stays.
I like it.
Okay, cool. That's on brand.
So people who don't know what Highland Games is, it's pretty much just throwing nature.
In kilts, right?
Yeah,
We just
in
summarize an entire sport and we'll piss off millions. Throwing nature in kilts. No, actually, I think that's the best honor you can
I am a
possibly have.
nature thrower that wears a kilt
Yeah.
for fashion.
I like it, though.
Not for sports.
I feel like it's utilitarian. There's less like constrictions in a kilt.
Right, and you can move freely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
they wear anything under the kilts?
Please say yes.
My wife strongly encourages I keep everything
I bet.
high and tight.
I agree with her.
I disagree,
Oh no.
but I'm a man who loves to serve my wife, so
Good man.
I adhere.
I will now come to your competitions.
Well, I just competed. I competed last week.
Oh, how'd that go?
It was good. It was good. I threw in the Masters, and I got absolutely shit stomped.
You got through in the master. How old are you?
I'm 42.
I thought you were younger.
Yeah, I get that.
Oh,
It's because
okay.
I'm immature.
Yeah.
You like it though.
It's true. And Masters, like Strongman, starts at 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have a couple of Masters divisions. I think 40 to 49, 50 to 55, and then I think 55 to 60 or 60 and up.
I think it's cut off at 60 right now.
But like you can't compete if
I
you're
don't.
over?
Well, I don't know if it's cut off, but I don't think they have a 60 plus.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
there is a 60 because 60
there is.
just threw with us. Well, they didn't throw with us, but they threw on the same day.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but I held my own. I think I got like 4th out of 10 or something like that. And the guys who beat me badly, all have 15 to 20 years of experience. So
Boy.
I was able to brute strength a couple of things to keep myself competitive. But it's the ass whooping I knew I'd get, and I kind of enjoyed it, you know?
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And did your wife and daughter come out and watch you?
Yeah.
Because like, let's be real. Like, I want to talk to you about just you being like world's biggest girl dad, but
Family
that
man.
segues me so well because like, do they come and watch it? Are they like, listen, like we'll see you at home? Like,
After Lola was born, I did a powerlifting meet. And my wife, who doesn't really, isn't that she doesn't care for strength sports, she likes that I do them. She's not interested.
Right.
She likes to train and she likes to like bike and walk and be physically active. She doesn't really care for heavy lifting. That's cool. But when I tell you, I don't hear anything but my wife when I'm training.
she will be listening to this, so that's
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
so-
I'm gonna write that one. Right
So
now.
when I'm on the platform, I literally only hear her. And I mean, I almost go, if people joke about it, but I'm like very much like, I don't move. I don't do the, I like stoically stand there. And I would like to say that I do it on purpose to look cool, but I don't realize that I do it. I'm not that cool. But it's funny, after Lola was born, I was coming out for, I think, my maybe 3rd attempt on squat. And they had gotten there late. And I'm, you know, you go through there and you pick the squat. I take my steps back. I look at the ref. Ref tells me down. I look up and I see my wife holding Lola, who is at this point maybe like 7 or 8 months. And she's holding a "Let's Go Daddy" sign.
Stop it.
Bro,
Mel, we just both go, oh my god.
I have like I don't know, whatever, 570 pounds on my back, and I'm like,
Oh gosh, choking up.
yeah. But I mean, I absolutely crush the squat, and I rack it or whatever, and I'm so fucking hyped, but also like so emotional because, like, if anything, the numbers will never matter, but she'll grow up and know like my dad was strong.
Exactly.
My dad did cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's super cool. So.
And you work out at home, correct?
Oh yeah.
So she
yeah.
gets to watch you do that too.
Yeah, she says, "Daddy, let's go into the garage and do exercise." This past Highland Games, she yelled across the field, "Daddy, I pooped."
Oh, that's my kind of girl right there.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, "All right, well, Daddy's gonna throw the caber. Good job on pooping, girl. I'm
Proud of you.
So proud of you."
Daddy's gonna try not to poop.
She did well. That's
now.
why you always bring a backup.
And that's why you wear underwear.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a big proponent of bring at least 2 pairs of underwear for every sport you do, because you never know.
Yeah.
If you ain't
Never
nearly
know.
pooping your pants, you ain't competing, dog.
You're not lifting heavy enough.
Exactly. So yeah, so having her there is really, and I, to some degree, it keeps me competing.
Oh, for sure.
I just love it. I love being in front of her. My Highlands previous, I was a true novice, so I went onto the field, and they were teaching me the movements on the field. And caber, for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically that long piece of wood that looks like a telephone pole.
Okay, that one. Yeah.
That's the caber.
That's what I think of when I think of the Highland Game. But besides like the shot put thing, is I think of,
Right.
I remember my first and only one I've seen in person. They're like, you almost cradle it, right?
Yes.
And you cradle and you walk.
You get to walk it?
Well, yeah. So
I need education there.
the walking part is more for like a momentum thing,
Okay.
or to counterbalance. So if it goes forward, you walk forward. If it leans back on you,
That makes sense.
And with that implement, to me, I don't necessarily think it's heavy. It's just very difficult to balance. And the way you start it is this, and then you pop it and then try and get your hands under. So you gotta have quick hands too. But at the first meet we're doing, at the first Highlands I did, we're there and everybody, all these novices are just bombing on this thing. Nobody can get it off the ground, and the people who are, so I got it and it tipped on me, and I benefited from being stronger than most of the people there. So I fought it. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to let it fall.
I'm not surprised about any of this at all. What do you mean you were stubborn?
Yeah, and I fought that thing like you would not believe. Like, to the point where like I could feel both of my biceps being like, "Hey, dog,
This might be
a
it."
decision here." I end up dropping it. I didn't do well with it. Whatever. I come back, and to this day, Lola still says, "Daddy, do you remember when you picked the tree up in the sky?"
How old is she now?
She's 3.5. She's going on 4 in April.
That's a cute age.
I know.
But this
I
is
love
the
that
thing,
age.
like, she may not remember that, but I'll remember her saying that until I die.
Oh my God, yeah.
And that's just the coolest thing in the world to me.
Yeah, I mean that's huge, dude. Because now you've been competing in strength sports for like 12 years ish.
Well, I got into strength sports after the final ankle injury, so I think I was like 35.
Okay, so how do you balance it? I mean, because one thing that when we were taking a look at even putting together this whole podcast was like, what are the questions that real people are asking, right?
Yeah.
And I think one thing that keeps coming up is I want to take care of myself. I want to have hobbies. I want to have competitive sports. Like I want all of it, but I'm a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And how do I balance? And not everyone has the luxury of kids being able to be like Eva, who just sit in a gym for 12 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Like her daughter's
Enjoys
one
it.
with the sandbags like all day.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you balance that? And how, like, do you have any advice for people? Because that's something that I'm not a parent yet.
Yeah.
But I know that's going to be a really big thing for me to adjust to.
Yeah. So it's pretty simple. Balance is first and foremost the right partner. My wife, again, she's not interested in going and lifting heavy, but she knows what kind of man I am when I can. The competition keeps me sharp. So competing makes me a better husband, a better father, a better employee, right? So she knows that when I have things on the horizon, I'm saying no to more stupid things. I'm not having another drink. I'm not going to go and eat this whole pizza. I'm not going to bullshit. I'm very much more dialed in. She understands that. Mm-hmm. She also understands that training is something that I need. And I'm not a man who needs a lot of things. I'm very simple. I like to eat. I like to sleep. I like to train.
Yeah.
There's very few other things that I'm like, I can take it or leave it. I could really give a shit. So a great partner who understands what you need. What I've found as an older athlete is that less is more. So what I used to do is take my training, and I've had some incredible coaches, Michael De La Pava, JT Donahue. I've rubbed elbows with Paul O'Need, who's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
So I've always been in this inner circle of very, very smart coaches. And even when they're not teaching me directly, I'm taking notes. And what I found is that I can be more dialed in and on less. So we know that like a strongman session on a Saturday is 2 or 3 hours easily.
Minimum.
Easily.
Yeah.
Right?
Because then, and you talk and your friends are there.
And you're
it's
there for 6 hours later.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your everyday.
That's me.
So, well, the one thing that like me and my wife have an agreement on is like when I come to something like to throw practice for Highlands or, a SBD day for powerlifting or, a strongman day is like, hey, 3-4 hours, I'll be training and then I'm yours. When I get home, if you tell me I am going to Bermuda by myself, I'll take it from here, coach.
Got it.
We have a very, very good understanding of what each other needs, and I make sure that those things are met. So an understanding partner, taking care of that partner with their needs, and then understanding what your time schedule is. If you can't do 2 hours in training, everybody knows this, but they ignore it. Mm-hmm. That 30-minute session is still pretty good.
Yep.
Right.
Stop skipping it. Mm. What I've done recently is I've taken more days and I've broken them down into like 45-minute sessions per day. So now I do 5 or 6 days at 45 minutes over 3 or 4 days at 2.5 hours. I get all the same volume in.
Yeah.
Right.
Without hogging up an entire day and seeing my poor wife being like, please, I need a break.
When are you coming home? Yeah.
I can do my training on lunch. Come in, shower, eat, go back to work, and by 5:30, daddy time. Let's go. You go do what you got to do, rest, chill, whatever you want to do. So that's really the balance. Now, I will say this. I am not gifted enough in strength sports to be elite. I can be pretty good at all these sports, but if you want to be elite, both parties need to understand that there's a level of sacrifice that's coming.
Definitely.
Okay, the dates go away, the anniversary shit goes away, the holidays, all of that shit you cancel. But if they believe in you like a good partner should, there's going to be sacrifice.
Right.
And you have to be honest with yourself and be like, I want to be elite at this. Express that to your partner. And then they have to be okay with the level of sacrifice that comes with that.
And I can kind of touch on that a little bit, because being with someone who is an elite athlete and competes at very high levels, you know, there's a lot of things that we can and can't do. You know, we spend a lot of time at the gym. We can't travel as much, you know, and so I understand that. You have sacrifices.
And yet you just adopted 2 puppies.
2 puppies.
It's fine. She's not crazy in the slightest. She's fine.
Maybe.
But that's just so important, right? Because that does come back to because a single dude's got it easy.
Oh,
Eat, sleep, train, repeat. Like,
Easy.
let's go. But as soon as you start adding even the partner, and then you add a kid, like, it's just ways of, and because I've always said the same thing from just being married. I'm like, you've got to compartmentalize. Yep. I used to be real bad at it. I mean, back when I was in fight sports, I would work all day, and I worked in the office. I'd go train for 4 hours. And then like 6 months in, Chelsea sat me down. She was like, this is not going to work like this.
And she should have.
Yes, absolutely. And so totally called me on my shit. And so we worked it around. But that's one, and that actually is another integral part you've had in my story with Strongman is, so then she happened to come to Strongman on her own journey. And her first and only comp to date was Static Monsters.
Absolutely love it.
And you were there, and you were so good at just, because I'll tell her all day, do this, you're doing great, etc. And she hears me like, sometimes.
If you're lucky.
If I'm, And so, but you gave her some cues, you were so supportive, and it was freaking awesome.
And she was great.
Yeah.
She was amazing.
I was like, my little baby's growing up.
My baby
And I think that, you know, especially on that specific deadlift on an axle bar, it's the cue of pull. Fucking pull, don't stop pulling.
Yeah.
Because your body is going to go, nope, we don't got this, before you actually know you don't have it. And I was like, hey, just keep pulling. And I watched her, and she did an amazing job. And it was cool, like, to get the acknowledgement. She kind of looked over at me like, and I'm like,
I did it. She does that. Yeah.
Go up, motherfucker.
I know. Because it was you, what was it, your brother-in-law who was there?
That's my brother-in-law.
Your brother, because you guys were on either side of the deadlift platform, and I was his back, and because I was in my deadlift suit, slowly dying.
Sure.
And because I put it on way too early. And so I'm just watching there, and I was like, she's going to be fine. And she had deadlifted for the first time like 2 weeks earlier and pulled like, I think 150. And like, that was just it. And then she just like yeeted 250 off the ground in comp. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And we talked about it afterwards. And when I told her that I was bringing you on the show, she was like, he was so cool. And so you really, really did help. But that's the kind of stuff that is important when I think you have an understanding of the importance of the community behind the sport.
Yeah.
Like, you've been part of it for so long, you know how crucial it is to bring people up that might not have conventionally been in it.
Yeah.
And so you're from Miami originally, right?
Well, no. I'm actually a New Jersey jerk off.
Oh.
So I originated from New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Because I know you're just really integrated in the Miami community with
Miami
strength
community,
sports.
Yes. So, first of all, thank you for saying that about me. I think that with every strength sport, what the community lacks is people showing up to either spot and load, support. It's very shitty that like people come up with these great concepts. For example, like Strongman Institute is a phenomenal concept. And everybody will say, oh, I get it. But nobody ever does anything about it. You will find that people online will be a bigger supporter of you than a motherfucker who sees you every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Oh, no, the community's intense online. It's been cool.
And I think that with strength sports, again, nobody's going to remember the day I hit a big log press. Nobody. But you know what they will remember? The fucking day I showed up and I was like, hey, keep pulling this deadlift.
Dick
You
first.
have it.
Exactly.
Dick first.
Dick first. Can you please elaborate on that actually
Dick
before I keep
first. What is
saying that?
this?
So it's how
Oh,
you
you're talking
taught me
about
how
the
to
yoke.
yoke.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah, it
So-
helps. It's a good cue.
So
Sorry, Mom.
one thing I realized about you very quickly is you're a little bit of a bro pervert.
What do you mean?
So
Sorry, you're stuck with me.
like hips through is like, all right, well, it makes sense. So have you ever met Junkyard?
I have a couple
Okay.
times.
So Junkyard is a little eccentric, and Junkyard is also a Battle Axe product. And we were all training at this wonderful gym. It's called Margate Barbell. Ryan Taylor is the owner. Ryan Taylor, one of the fucking nicest guys, and a brilliant coach also. We were all training there in prep for Miami's Baddest. And I don't know how it happened, and I don't remember who, but we were trying to say hips through, and it just wasn't working. And someone was like, "Oh, squeeze your glutes like you're gonna shit your pants." And I'm like, that's all right. And I'm like, "Hey, get that dick through." And
Everyone.
yeah, literally, the guy who was under the yoke who was dying went, and you saw his hips shoot through, and everything got tight, and I'm like, hell yeah, you lead with that dick, dog.
And I almost exclusively use that cue on women.
You do.
I do, and you know what? It works every
amazing.
damn time.
That's where it came from.
Yeah, no, it's his fault.
Yeah.
Chell says it. I say it. I think I've said it to Emily before.
You have.
And
Yeah,
then,
I've heard
but you
it.
know what she did?
Yeah.
She yoked.
It instantly, I don't listen. Sometimes it's all about the right cue.
It's amazing. It is all about the right cue.
So
Anyway,
so
so
the
that
dick
was-
through came from training with Junkyard and everything. But I do want to circle back to what you said about me and stuff. And I'll say this to you guys with a podcast, a platform, you as an athlete, the thing that I most firmly believe, and the reason why I decided to even show up, is because I think you guys understand the responsibility that you have and I have as an athlete, but an ambassador of strength sports. Okay? If I don't make you feel welcome, then you don't make her feel welcome.
Right.
And she ends up never knowing how fucking awesome she can be.
I love that.
And
Yeah.
that's not her fault. That's your fault
Yep.
for not showing her.
Right.
And
for
you're the same
not-
way with you work with kids.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, you get a kid in there that starts falling in love with it at 8,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or you turn them off of it
Right.
at 8. You know what I mean?
I was prepping for Iron Nightmare before I jacked my hip up, and I was in there training, and the kids wanted to do pull-ups. I stopped my deadlift session, and I was spotting them because guess what? They're not going to remember that I pulled 600. They're going to remember that I was in there and I took my
Yeah.
time helping them do pull-ups.
Right.
And who knows what that turns into? Maybe they pull 800 one day because I was nice enough. I took the time for them, and that's what matters.
Yeah, you might
That's
hit that
our
spark.
responsibility here with this podcast, with our Instagram. If you have 10 Instagram followers, you have a fucking responsibility
Yep.
because someone's paying attention to you, and that's the most firm thing. What's my new phrase now? This is a hill I'm willing to kill you on.
That's incredible. I was going to go with great power comes great responsibility to
Also
get
a
some
good one.
Spider-Man in there, but that is way more aggressive and I love it.
Yeah. I wanted to come back to that because
Yeah.
that's a big part of my nature is not nice. Believe it or not.
You could fool me a little bit on that one.
Yeah. So growing up, I was very survivalist mentality.
Like you said.
My mother died very young. My father had a myriad of problems. I bounced around. My nature is defensive and aggressive. My kindness is practice. And I operate this way and I practice so much because when I die, I want people to be like, you know what? That guy had a shitty path, but ended up being a pretty fucking nice guy and he didn't have to be.
Right.
That means a lot to me.
Oh yeah.
You know, as I get older, 42 years old, okay, sure, I want to live to 100.
I was like, all right, Yolman. No, you can. 80
But-
sounds super good.
That sounds terrible.
When can I stop squatting?
Well, the general concept,
Wait, actually.
if I get that old, is that I'll be way into hallucinogens.
That is a
Ooh.
excellent plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. go for
Because
that.
then nobody will blame me for being naked in my front yard.
Exactly.
and they
in a
won't
kill.
fight with you either way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Blame the mushroom.
So, like, my nature is just a little bit more aggressive, but I peel that back. Those are my challenges with being a husband and being a parent, because nobody was teaching me to like love my wife the way she deserved. I had to fucking learn that.
You had to figure it out.
Yeah. You know, with my mom being gone so young, nobody was like, hey, here's a hug for your shitty day.
Yeah.
You know? So like when people would hug me, I still to this day, if someone gives me a hug, I'm like, fuck.
And you walked in and I give you the biggest hug, and I was like, hey.
Yeah, and that's the thing, but that's practice.
Yeah.
You know, I've learned these things. So that's really, and sport has kind of transitioned me to that.
Yeah.
You know? So
No, it's so, and that's really is a reason why I wanted to bring you on. We were talking about like, I think you've got such a global understanding of all the things, right? Like you've seen strength sports grow, you've seen the communities grow, you've been part of the communities growing, but at the same time, you've had this personal journey and it didn't just come easy for you.
Yeah.
And like you really had to work on your shit.
I got saved. I got saved by a family. I had a good friend in high school. She dated a friend of mine. Her parents heard that I was bouncing from home to home. And they were like, look, we got a room. Come live with us. It was like the tail end of high school. I was living on my own. I was bouncing around. Life was not good. They showed me a kindness that I didn't believe it for a very long time. Who I call my stepfather, I was never officially adopted, but he passed away, I think almost 8 years now. And that really, that took something from me. With that, I've kind of like really made it part of my life to be kind of emulate what he does and really be that hand of like, hey, let me help you. I know I don't have to help you, but let me help you. Let me teach you. That's been a big thing. When he passed, I was so lost. I was angry. I did a lot of crying, like, well, who the fuck is going to show me what's next? Yeah. You know, what man is going to step here and be like, hey, dude, this is how you be a man. This is how you treat your wife. This is how you treat your kids. It was him, and he was gone. Mm-hmm. So I started trying to do the church thing. I'm like, all right, well, let me go to church and see. Everyone says, oh, church is the thing. And I went to church, and you know what? I felt nothing. Mm-hmm. Then I hear about this group of dudes who look like me in Miami. And I'm like, they're just out there doing nice shit.
Were they villainous? Is this where we're going? Yeah.
So
I wanted to hear about this.
Yeah. So basically, because the things for church were like, all right, but I didn't feel like there was any genuineness around me. Right. I felt like everybody was like, we're at church. Let's be fucking robots, man. Everybody be kind. And I'm like, I don't like everybody here. So I don't want to be kind to everybody. I'm not going to be a dick to them, but I don't want to be nice to all of them. That's bullshit. Mm-hmm. So I bring this around because you had mentioned the villains earlier. Yeah. And so that's kind of what led me to the path of the villains.
And who are the bearded villains?
So I'm glad you asked.
Thank you. It was there. I went for it.
Yeah.
But also, I was very fortunate so I worked at Miami Throwdown a few weeks ago, Mike's show. Freaking cool. It was hours and hours of just really strong people doing really strong things. It was a fantastic meet. And my table, because I was there helping out with Strongman Institute, so I was doing merch and shirts and just kind of honestly just watching and very happy about it. I was next to the Bearded Villains group. So I have like stickers now. I'm very excited. Stickers and a little bit of swag.
Thank you.
But I'd heard of it. I mean, your Instagram is the villainous Mr. Banks. And so I knew it was an entity, but I actually didn't realize that it is just totally like altruistic. It's all about just doing good things. So if you can tell us a little more about that, I think it's the coolest cause because it's the most unexpected group of men. They look like a biker gang. Like all of them.
We get that
It looks like a biker gang. Like the big beards. No one's tiny. Half of you have no hair. And it's just
tattoos.
All of it. And they're like just giving toys to orphans. And it's like the coolest thing.
Yeah. So the facility we do it at is one of our brothers. He owns a nonprofit as well. And we basically round up a bunch of toys from different locations, the battle axe being one. Michael De La Pava and the president of our chapter, Danny, they are cousins.
Okay.
So we always try to, again, community, we always try to help each other. So we have a big toy drive. Motivational Edge is the name of the building.
Okay.
So we bring in about 300 kids. Every single kid leaves with at least 5 or 6 toys.
Holy
amazing.
cow.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's
I
huge.
love that.
So Bearded Villains as a whole actually started as an Instagram page. And what it was initially, because it's really worldwide. We're just a chapter in a worldwide group. But Bearded Villains was just like super cool looking, handsome dudes with beards.
I like how you
posting
threw in
cool-
the plug for handsome dudes. Like,
Yeah,
that was a
well,
don't worry,
because-
this is a video show as well. They will see your face.
Because then I came around and they were like, well, maybe we should not do pictures of this guy. So, but yeah, like, I mean, okay, sure. I think it's my personality maybe makes me a 5, but these motherfuckers are handsome. Like, even I am like,
yeah, no,
whoa.
that's same. I get it.
So it was like basically like a cool, like these just handsome dudes posting pictures, and you're like, oh, that guy's got a beard, and bearded villain, I get it. The Miami chapter, because at first they just started springing up chapters, and it was just the guys would get together, and it would be a social club. The Miami chapter was the first club to basically go, hey man, we have a platform here, we should do something with it, and they did. There's a story of Matthew. If you go to the page, it's BV Bravo Victor 305.com. There's a story of Matthew, and I believe it was a kidney we were able to help him get. I'm pretty sure it was kidney. Don't quote me.
We'll
on
drop
that.
it in the bio as well.
Yeah.
So we'll pull that up and drop it.
But basically, they realized that the platform helped this kid get the kidney that he needed. And that was basically through networking. So then we decided that we wanted to make that a full-on nonprofit. So we did that. I oversee the nonprofit side of things. We're a 100% donation. We don't keep a penny. Everything goes to whatever we're doing at the time. We do a toy drive. We do a Thanksgiving drive. And now over the past 2 years, we've been doing what we call a Villain's Wish, which is a play off of Make-A-Wish.
Make-A-Wish, yeah.
And we basically use our network at the Children's Hospital to find a family that needs help. And, you know, we basically get with them and we try to grant a wish for kids. And we've done, I think we're at 8 now. And we try to
so
do
cool.
4 a year. It's incredible. We've taken some punches because things are what they are. And sometimes you think that, you know, the parents hit you up and they say, we need this thing. And you're like, oh yeah, we'll provide it. And then you do, and you realize it was not for the kid. Because believe it or not, there's shitty people out there.
Weird.
And,
Hey.
But very, very proud to be a part of that organization. We've done some incredible things. We're starting to move the concept to Beautiful Vision Miami, because we really, really want to take care of the Miami community more. We want to branch that throughout the state eventually one day. But that's the general concept.
So like
I
you're
love
thinking like switch Bearded Villains to Beautiful like total rebrand or like
we'll still use
that's a-
Bearded
that's a
Villains.
flip.
Yeah, we'll still use Bearded
Yeah.
Villains for a lot of what we do in terms of the page and the aesthetics.
Yeah.
But if you look us up as a nonprofit, we're BV 305 or sorry, BV Miami.
Got it.
Okay.
So we're basically gonna do both.
Makes sense.
So it'll be probably like Bearded Villains through Beautiful Vision, or Bearded Villains contributing to Beautiful Vision Miami. And that will kind of focus around more of like the grant process, because believe it or not, they may not want to give a grant to guys who look like us. That's a shitty thing to say, but it's the truth.
No, it's true. I
But
mean,
if you
it's
paint it
huge.
pretty and you call it Beautiful Vision.
How do you say no to that?
Exactly.
No, I get that.
So I'm super proud of that. I absolutely love it. They're big supporters of the strength community as well. So we've done some incredible things. I really love that
I
thing.
think that's great.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. I want to see if you had anything else before we kind of wrap it up. And
What do you got?
I don't think so, but one thing, going back to like how you mentioned balance, like I love looking at your social media page and Instagram, and it's literally just a balance of sports, and family.
Yeah.
And I love seeing like the way your face lights up on every other picture of your wife and your daughter.
The Disney
I
one was
think
really
it
cute. Did you
is-
see the Disney one? You're very Disneyed out in like one shirt. Oh yeah,
yeah.
there was a mouse involved.
I
like,
saw
on
that.
some
That was
apparel.
I crushed it.
Like you're smiling in your pictures when you're lifting, but like the way that your face just changes with your family, like that's something that I've always noticed about you.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing.
And maybe I'm weird on this, but I always like to make sure that husband comes before father. I got to tell you, when my wife was pregnant, I had loved my wife. I have always loved my wife. The moment I met her, I'm like, poof, that's the one, right away. And when she was pregnant, I remember like being like, I can love this person more. And it's genuine. There's not a moment that I don't think about how much I love those two people and my stepson. My stepson is a 20-year-old knucklehead, but I fucking love
Remember
that
that age.
kid like you would not believe. He does things that you are like, this is like a sitcom episode of stupidity for like a 20-year-old kid. Like you're
awesome.
like, holy shit.
Like,
this
how
is-
are you alive? Like,
this
why?
is a script, right? That you're presenting to me, but the kid's got a heart like you would not believe. And under my roof, there's nothing I love more than being a husband and a father, and then an athlete. And if you just give me those things until I die, I will die the happiest man that's ever lived.
That's it. I mean, I feel like, that is the greatest like ending to anything ever. So thank you for coming on here. Thank you for talking. Thank you for sharing with us. And also thank you for being such a just really cool supporter of our sponsors as well.
So you guys are all on the right path. Strongman Institute is the right path. I think it's what the next role of training and coaching is going to be. I don't think you have a choice, and I think you guys are a leg up on the game. So
I totally agree.
That means a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. No, I appreciate it. We will call that. And everyone make sure you tune in next week and see what we have for you next.